How do the astronauts on the International Space Station and other spacecraft handle Thanksgiving? We'll find out on the next Astronomy and Coffee. Welcome to another Monday. Happy work week, and it's going to be Thanksgiving this week. I'm trying to position myself inside this space suit there. There we go. All right. Now I'm having Thanksgiving in space. All right, fun. Anyways, okay. So yes, welcome to another week here on Astronomy and Coffee here. We're going to go over Thanksgiving in space and how it's done. Don't you want to know? So yes, the astronauts on the International Space Station will be experiencing and enjoying Thanksgiving, and they have done this before as well. So let's go over how they have done this and exactly what it takes to enjoy Thanksgiving up in space. So the food, how it's delivered and how it's prepared and how it is consumed, is all very different than the way that we do things here on planet Earth. Well, the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft recently docked and delivered some holiday treats to the ISS, International Space Station. This was to the Expedition 70 crew from NASA. Well, what did they get and what will they be enjoying? Well, they've got turkey, duck, quail, seafood, cranberry sauce, kits to make pizza. I guess pizza is a Thanksgiving thing now. Hummus, salsa, and olives. Yum, olives for Thanksgiving. But, you know, now for dessert, they've got chocolate, pumpkin spice, cappuccino, rice cakes, and mochi, I think it is. No, there is more. They also delivered some oranges, apples, and cherry tomatoes, carrots, and a selection of specialty cheeses as well. So, how to prepare the meal in space? Let's take a look here about how these meals are prepared on the space station. So no, their moms didn't prepare this for them. It was prepared by NASA. The Russians are responsible for their cosmonauts. We are responsible for our astronauts and giving them food. It is prepared at NASA's Space Food Systems Laboratory. It's all designed to be nutritious, yummy, and safe to eat while in space. It all comes prepared and sealed in plastic pouches to ensure a long shelf life. Now, once they get them, they're ready for din-din, and they can easily be reheated and rehydrated. So eating in space and these little special festive meals have come a long way in the years of being in space. The very first Thanksgiving that was ever celebrated in space was back in 1976 in November, back when I was a few months old back then in 76. Well, this was aboard the Skylab 4. It was Gerald Carr, William Pogue, and Edward Gibson. They all celebrated Turkey Day with 2 meals at dinner time after completing a spacewalk that took over 6 hours. Now, but the meals didn't include anything special for the holidays. They just had plain old rations. They had been eating every day, but they celebrated Thanksgiving nonetheless. But all this changed in 1980s. And on board the Space Shuttle Atlantis, the crew shared shelf-stable turkey, cranberry sauce, and shrimp cocktail. Now, it should be pointed out that the meat they consume must be irradiated. This is to reduce the number of foodborne pathogens and parasites in the meat. Tortillas were also later introduced because it is a great bread item that doesn't drop crumbs. Now, you certainly don't want to drop crumbs or any types of particulates. These will float around the space station and get into gear and get into the buttons and knobs and stuff. This is why they don't use pencils, because the graphite in the pencils will kind of break off. They use pins, and that's why they had to develop these special space age pens, ink pens that can write upside down. I had a comedian friend who had one of those pens. He could sit in bed and write his jokes with this pen upside down. It was great. He had to give it back to the person who gave it to him, though, but anyways. Now, Thanksgiving in Space continued into the 90s about the STS-44 crew aboard the Atlantis orbiter. And in the mid-90s, they had two crews that shared a Thanksgiving together. It was the crew of the STS-80 and the crew aboard the Russian space station Mir. Both crews exchanged holiday greetings over the radio. But the record for the largest Thanksgiving gathering in space goes back to 1997, when Russian cosmonauts on Mir, along with the crew of the Columbia orbiter, shared a Thanksgiving dinner together, with 9 crew members having milk, peas, freeze-dried mashed potatoes, and turkey. The turkey. Potatoes. The tradition carried into the 2000s as well. So yes, there is in fact Thanksgiving in space, but there are some precautions and conditions that must be considered whenever you're doing this. NASA is responsible, again, for providing their crew with the meals, and Russia is responsible for their crew, but that doesn't mean that they can't share. NASA says that on average, each crew member has about 4 pounds of food every day. It sounds like a lot, but that also considers the packaging and the container that it's in, so it's not 4 pounds of pure food. And no, they can't keep the leftovers. There's no refrigerator on the space station. They either have to eat it all or they have to toss it. So, there is your Thanksgiving update on whether or not astronauts and cosmonauts can enjoy Thanksgiving in space. They can, they have, and they will. So, thank you all for joining me today for this little update here on astronomy and coffee. Coffee here. I was enjoying this morning on the drive to work, avoiding all the wrecks that were on the road here in Baton Rouge. So we'll see you next week for another update on what is going on up in our nighttime sky, or what is going on up in space. Have a great rest of your week. I hope you enjoy this Thanksgiving with your friends and family. Be safe, and I will see you next week for another Astronomy and Coffee.